For the average citizen, this is completely bizarre. Your divorce actually landed you in jail. How did that happen?
Just the whole process of the family court system. It was just a shaky thing. There were custody evaluator wasn't being consistent in his statements. I started questioning it, raising it with the court. Nobody could provide me with a legitimate answer. So what I wound up doing was making a website and a blog, and I put the information on the internet. And so I put documents, everything like that up, and people didn't the officials didn't like the fact that I was showing what they were doing.
Okay, so here's the website right here. It looks pretty innocuous at this moment. Looks like you're documenting your weight loss. What were you talking about on your blog that was so problematic that they just threw you in jail?
The prosecutor said you're not allowed to lie. And so the prosecutor said that I called the judge a child abuser, and he wasn't a child abuser. That was one of their biggest complaints. They just kept reading statement after statement after statement from the blog saying that the judge is unethical, he's an evil man, he's a child abuser for taking away people's children, and things of that nature. Just a lot of rhetorical statements. Obviously, he's not a child abuser of the physical standpoint. He, by taking children away from capable parents, that's what makes him a child abuser. And that's what they didn't like, so they threw a bunch of charges at me, expected me to take a plea deal, but it was something that I stood up for and wound up spending 2.5 years in prison.
And when we're talking about prison, we're not talking about you go to a classroom on weekends and read a book. This was real jail.
Yes, it was a minimum or a medium security prison in the state of Indiana, Putnamville Correctional Facility. So I was in there with rapists, or not so much rapists, but murderers, violent offenders, drug dealers, a lot of people with drug problems, habitual DUI offenders of that nature. So there's gangs and different things like that. It wasn't as hardcore as you see on TV, but there's an element of danger to it, yes.
So everyone, when you go to jail, allegedly, they ask you, what are you in here for? And what would you say?
I told them the truth, and I kind of stuck out like a sore thumb. I was one of the only clean-shaven people in there with no tattoos, and I started helping people in there. I was mentoring younger guys. I would do some writing for people. If people had to write letters to judges or to the court, I'd help them with writing and just helping people out. So people came to respect me just because I was a nice guy. A lot of people have never met somebody who never been in trouble with the law. Everybody in there said that I had friends in there that had been incarcerated for 26 years or better, and they said that they've just never, ever heard of anything like this.
And so there you are, you're in jail for 2.5 years for saying things about a judge on a blog on the internet. One of the reasons you were so outspoken on your blog is because you really valued your relationship with your kids. What is that relationship like today?
I don't have any contact with them, no phone contact. During the course of a 2.5-year divorce, I had my children almost half of the time, and my divorce started when my daughters were 1 and 3. So I did bottles, diapers, everything. And that's a picture of us out on our farm. And no allegations of abuse, no neglect. It was just a matter of, the court said the court is most concerned about husband's irrational behavior and attacks on Dr. Connor. And Judge Humphrey didn't like the fact that I criticized the custody evaluator. And 2.5 months after the final hearing of my divorce, they took away my children. So that's acknowledging that the judge is either bad because he left the children with a dangerous parent, or the judge is bad because he took away children from a perfectly capable parent.
And one of the things that the promo for divorce court suggested is that money can buy you a modicum of success in these types of situations. Did you try throwing money at this? Was that even an option? When you realized that 2.5 years in jail was imminent, did you attempt to appeal or pay any kind of fine? Was there anything that you could have done to avoid this?
To avoid jail, I could have taken a time-served plea deal, meaning I would have to plead guilty to one of the charges or a lesser crime or something like that to avoid jail time. The only problem is that you can't plead guilty to something that you don't feel that you've done. And when you're talking about First Amendment things, like some people would say, is it worth being away from your kids? There's no guarantee I would have been able to go back to the kids right away. The other thing is it's like suggesting that somebody going to fight for your freedom overseas to say that maybe they shouldn't do that because they're going to be away from their families. It was a tough decision, but I'm lucky to have friends and family to support me that we did the right thing in this and taking it all away to help bring attention to the problems.